Hello and welcome to Radio Waves by Todderbert. If you enjoy reviews, comparisons, band scans of new and classic portable radios, then please subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Alright, so today we have a comparison between the Sony ICF P26 and the Sangean SR-35. Obvious comparison here. Both in a similar price range, both do similar things. One does a little differently than the other. We'll go over all that. There's going to be a winner tonight. And remember, it's opinion. But I have a lot of different items that I put together that kind of differentiate the two. So you have a basic idea or a deeper understanding of these two radios. So you know when you're purchasing which one's best for you. So let's get started on build quality. Both exhibit solid design. No creaks in the plastics. Everything is fit and finish. Is very well done on both the Sony and the Sangean. So they're equals on that front. Next category, switches. We wouldn't think of that. Little things I just started looking at the radios and comparing as I was holding them and using them. The switches. Well, pretty much the Sony has one switch here. It's the band select switch, and it's recessed real nice. So if you had this in your pocket or in a purse, or if you were carrying it, it's hard to jostle the on-off switch in the AM band select because it's such a low profile. The Sangean has a raised band select switch that could be inadvertently bumped in a purse or in a pocket. So winner of this one goes to Sony for the switch. Okay, I know it's little things, but little things add up. Next is the FM antenna. Yeah, the position and movement category. Both have the same length, 17.5 inches. The Sony's has a issue with it sticking out past the case. It makes it very uncomfortable to hold as you tune it. It feels kind of funny in the hand because you feel this bar here. You could get used to it. It doesn't really bother me too much because I typically tune and then I usually stand my radio up. So it's not a big issue for me, but for those people who that is kind of does stick out. So have to mention that. The Sangean's sits nice and flush. Another bonus of the Sangean's antenna is it has a swivel, which the Sony does not. This allows the antenna to swivel at a much larger range, giving you better selectivity when you do have it sitting in a position. So, winner of that one goes to Sangean. Yay! All right. So, next is the battery compartment, basic. Hinged, they both hinge. Okay. Pretty basic stuff, but yep, it is a category, so they're equals on that, and that's a pretty important thing for me. I like having them because you lose those. I don't know how many times I've seen eBay auctions where the battery door is missing. It's like, man, if it just had that battery door, I'd buy it. Excuse me. Okay, next, base design. This is very important to me. I don't know if it will be to you, but when I have a radio like this, I like to stand it up. Yep, I like to stand my radios up, and if I bump it, oh crap, If I bump it, is it gonna fall if I bump it? Yeah, is it gonna fall if I bump it? So, winner here goes to the Sony for its ultra flat base, and even this antenna, the way it's sitting here, is helping keeping it standing too. So, yeah, that's important to me, big time. Here on the Sangean's, it has like little tiny feet. You can see where it kind of fails. It tries, but they've been better just making this flat. Instead of putting those little nubs there. But I think they were going for a pocket friendly with the curved corners. But the winner goes to Sony for the base for standing it up. Okay. I know they're little things, but they add up. Let's see. Next is tuning and volume wheel controls. Okay. Sony's has nice recessed controls. Hard to move. Hard to move if they're in your pocket because they're more flush. And same with the Sangean. They're nice and recessed and flush. And easy to get to, though, if you're trying to adjust them. So they're both equal on that front. So they're both the best in that category. So they kind of equal out. Next, we have wrist strap. Now, the wrist strap, everybody's going to laugh at that. I made it a category, but I'm not going to include it in the scoring because I don't think it should be, because you don't hear people talking about wrist straps and that's their buying decision. But there's a difference. The Sangean's uses this kind of like shoelace style one. Feels kind of cheap, but it's strong and it's going to get the job done. But it does feel cheap. The Sony's, on the other hand, is actually, if you're into wrist straps, is a premium variety. It's tubular, knitted kind of thing. It feels really soft when you're holding it. It's not like a abrasive feel like this is. So for strength, they're probably just as strong. This just feels nicer if you're using a wrist strap or carrying strap. But I didn't make that a scoring thing, but Sony wins. Because I like my wrist straps. I like them, you know that. I don't hate belt clips, but I like the wrist straps. So there you go. Sony wins that one, but it doesn't count. Let's see. Next is numbers on the dial. Wow, there's numbers on the dial, right? So we know what we're tuning to. The Sony, if we look at it, those numbers are actually under the plastic. Yes, so you can't rub them off. If we're using your radio all the time, in your pocket, in and out of your pocket, in and out of your backpack, going back and forth, those aren't going to rub off. Yay! Sangeans, they're printed on the surface. You actually can feel the numbers. They're kind of raised, and those will wear off in time. So kind of a bad design element. They should have put it in the plastic and then cleared over it, but they really didn't. So the bonus on that goes to Sony for protecting the dial. Yes, I'm glad to see that. It's a great feature to not have the numbers printed on, but to have them actually embedded under the plastic. This will last for many, many years without worrying about numbers disappearing. All right, yeah, there's a lot to go over. So yeah, Sony wins that one. Indicator LEDs, yes. The Sangean has an indicator LED right there, tuning. So when you're in tune, that little green light comes on. Awesome, so you know you're in tune. It has an on-looking indicator, but it really just is a colored wheel, so you're not going to see that at night if you're in the dark. And if you're off tune and say that wasn't lit, you wouldn't know if this radio was on, if it was at low volume. So yeah, we're going to set that down. Now the Sony has, just turn it on. Oh, playing some music. Has a battery LED indicator, which is awesome. Tells you the status of the batteries. And it has a tuning indicator light. So the winner of that one goes to Sony. And my cat was here again. Sony wins. All right. Moving on. We're going into power consumption. Yes, I looked this up. Power consumption, they both take 2 AA batteries. So bingo on that. The Sony runs on 100 milliwatts, and the Sangean runs at 150 milliwatts, so it consumes more power. The winner of that consumption goes to Sony for being more green. Yes, indeed. Hours of battery life. Well, knowing that information, I didn't really do many basic math. I just kind of ballparked it in my head. This one here actually is printed. I didn't see any information on Sangean's website about battery life, but battery life on the Sony is 100 hours on the FM and 110 hours on the AM at moderate volume using the speaker. That's awesome. And with the power difference, I equate this Sangean possibly 75 to 85 hours, typically how you're using it with the volume. So clear winner of the battery life is going to go to the Sony. And I better turn that off. Won't be fair to have those lights go and have you staring at the Sony instead of the Sangean. So Sony wins that one. All right. So just these little things that add up. Okay, speaker size. They're both 2 1/4 inches. Technically, they said in their specifications 2 1/4 inches, and the Sony's 2.24 inches. Yeah, it's pretty close to 2 1/4. I think that's pretty close. So we'll call them equal speakers. So coming down to speaker audio. Now, it's difficult to do it on camera. I don't have a stereo microphone. I don't have any, noise-free room. So you're going to have to kind of just trust my judgment on this one. Okay. With the Sangean, this speaker on the FM, so speaker, I'm going to do it for different bands. So speaker audio and FM is fuller, and overall sound quality is better than the Sony's. So it wins that category. The Sony sounds well, but when you start to turn it up, you lose any kind of bass, any kind of lows. It gets harsh really quick on the FM band, and it's still pleasurable to listen to, but just not at higher volumes. Kind of low to low mid-range. Sounds really nice. So Sangean is a clear winner for audio quality on the FM overall. Boom. Winner! Yeah! It's winning stuff. Okay. Speaker on the AM. Okay. So this I'm really particular on. I've been listening to a lot of these portable radios, and I really liked the PT6's sound, but I'm getting to like the lower, smoother tone quality of the speaker on the AM. So Sanjin again wins because it has a pleasant tone, and it sounds really good at higher volume on the AM. So it's just kind of an overall winner there on the speaker category, AM and FM. When I first had this radio, I first reviewed it, I didn't like it because I was listening to all these tinny radios, and I was used to the speaker being higher pitched, so I never knew and quite understood how good of a tone quality is when it starts to have that little lower tone. So I do like the Sanjin's speaker versus the Sony. Sony on the AM sounds very good to me. It's very crisp and bright at lower and mid volumes, but higher volume, forget it. It's going to burst your eardrums. It's too high pitched. So if you're looking for a nice, pleasant AM sounding voice, sports radio, this is the one to go with all day long. So yes, my views do change over time. So, all right. So yay, Sanjin again. If you guys are keeping track, I don't know. Headphones. Yes, I did the headphones this time. So I tested each headphone port for quality, and let's see what we did. Headphones on FM. Start with the Sony. It has decent bass, which was really surprising versus the speaker not having decent bass. So its headphone capability was great. They're both FM mono, so they're both ears but no stereo. Darn it, guys, make stereo. Both of you make stereo. We'll see if they do. I think Sanjin would be the first before Sony because they're doing that with other radios. But so the Sony, getting off on a tangent, had decent bass, good voice. The Sanjin had better bass, but what really set the two apart is the Sanjin did not have any low-level hiss that I was hearing on the Sony. So the Sanjin wins on the FM headphone audio. Headphone on the AM, there was good voice quality on the Sony. Still that low-level hiss there, but too much bass on the AM on the Sanjin. On a headphone, that's not a good experience. So the Sony wins for me on the AM band with headphones. Boom. Sony wins that one. Yeah. Headphone jack quality. I was going to mention that in the build quality part of this, the beginning part. But I figured since I'm talking about headphones, we'll do it now. So Sony provides you with a headphone jack, but it's plastic. And I had a difficult time inserting the headphone jack into there. The headphone, connector into that jack. It was just stiff and tight, and it just was a pain. The Sanjin has a nice metal jack there, and ease of use plugging in the headphones, great. So Sanjin wins that category for headphone port build quality. Yeah, little things. Who would have thought? Plastic, metal. So there's a difference there. Starting to see some different characteristics right away. All right, so next on my list is tuning. Yes, the tuning. That's the biggest one, probably the most detailed thing I had to go through and time spent on these two radios. One is analog, one is DSP with an analog scale. Can you guess which is which? Analog, DSP with analog scale. Okay, so they both have their strengths and weaknesses, and they kind of go in with everything that I'm going to explain next. So they're equals because it's a preference-based thing. I'm not going to say analog, pure analog's better than the DSP, because sometimes DSP rocks, and we'll go over that. First thing I wanted to go over was dial accuracy. So dial accuracy is important to me on the FM dial. Both were very good on the FM. They matched up very nicely on the scale. Boom. So they're equals. Dial accuracy on the AM, the same thing. They're both very good. They both lined up on the AM where I'd expect them to be. Again, I was pretty surprised on inexpensive portables that their indicators were lining up nicely. So I've seen a lot of inexpensive radios where they didn't. So let's see. So I did a lot of tests here. So here we go. FM reception and selectivity during the day. Okay, so the Sanjin found more stations than the Sony during the day on the FM dial. The Sony's reception was great because of the DSP. I'm going to attribute that because it just popped. Stations would be in there nice and bright. Here I'd have to kind of hunt them a little bit. So I got to my stations quicker. They locked on faster. So for selectivity and reception during the daytime in FM, Sanjin wins. AM, daytime, reception and selectivity. Both found the same amount of stations. I was shocked. I expected this one to be the winner because of the DSP that was rocking on the FM. But on the AM, during the day, they both were fantastic. So that was amazing to find. The Sanjin edged out the Sony with the selectivity by a little bit because it was able to pull in those stations just a little bit clearer and quicker. So I have to give that category win to the Sanjin. Yes, I did. Even though they found the same amount of stations, this was able to make them just slightly clearer and quicker to get to. So then we had daytime. This one's an interesting category. Spurious tones and overall tuning. As for AM, I'm an AM fanatic. So going through the AM band, these two radios, they do it differently. So during the day, this Sony P26 had less of those spurious tones, those digital tones, those weird noises you hear when you're tuning a radio. It has smoother tuning experience than the Sangean due to its analog nature, I'm guessing. The Sangean, when I was tuning it, had these like little birdie tones. And again, my particular model, and I don't know if it's the same as everybody else's radio, SR35s, I'm guessing they're made the same unless they change the batch. The DSP on AM is a little difficult when the station's quieter. So I noticed it had that popping sound on fainter stations. So what would happen is I'd find a fainter station, try to dial it in, it would try to come into tune, and it would pop in and out like I was trying to seek that station over and over, like it was cycling very fast. So it creates this popping in and out sound. It makes a popping sound out of the speaker that's very annoying. So it's kind of a turnoff. So that category goes to Sony for AM tuning, overall experience, and the noise, that spurious noises. This handles it better, the Sony on the AM band. Yay, Sony wins. Okay, nighttime FM reception. I'm just going to say it, Sangean wins again. I mean, it's pretty much the same deal, except one thing I noticed. I found more stations with the Sangean than I did the Sony on the FM. So they weren't equals at all, and actually there was a bigger difference. This actually found more than the Sony did at nighttime than it did during the day. So a few more. We're talking a couple more. So that was interesting. So Sangean wins the FM reception, nighttime, and selectivity. And of course, selectivity has been just as good. I mean, it's amazing FM radio. AM reception selectivity at nighttime, the winner goes to Sangean again. Because I'm just not going to go over. I mean, they both have good selectivity and good reception. I mean, the Sony rocks. It's analog style. I love the smoothness of it. I'm able to pick up stations, but the Sangean gets them in a little quicker and clearer. It locks on a bit better. So again, Sangean wins the AM reception and selectivity at nighttime. Now again, nighttime AM spurious tones and overall tuning goes to Sony again, because those little birdie tones were popping up, and that interesting tuning where it tries to pull in the faint station where I have the popping sound on the AM that originally, when I first reviewed this, that I just couldn't stand, is still present, and the Sony is not. So overall, nighttime tuning on the AM is a beautiful experience with the Sony. I enjoy it. So the win goes to the Sony for the AM spurious tones and the overall tuning experience on AM at nighttime. So, yay! Now we're coming to the end. The price. Okay, I just checked tonight. This is April. What is today's date? I don't know what today's date is. It's the 24th, I think. Anyway, as of the published date, actually the date's going to change because I'm going to publish this differently. On this published date, the price of this Sony is $17.71. The price of the Sangean is $19.90. So more than a $2 difference. It's a pretty big deal, $2. $2, it doesn't buy a whole lot nowadays, but, $2 is $2. So winner goes to Sony for price. Yay! So I tallied up all the results of all those little things and came out to a tie. Yes, there's a tie. 10 wins for the Sangean, 10 wins for the Sony. Yes, there was a tie. So since I'm the reviewer, I am going to tie break. And the tie break, I'm going to pick the Sony. And there's a couple reasons why I picked the Sony to be the clear winner for me. Doesn't mean that it's a clear winner of a radio, but for me, the Sony wins because, number one, I love the tuning experience on the AM dial. I love how smooth and easy. I like the quietness of tuning through the AM band. It sounds nice. I don't listen to my audio loud or at loud levels, so low to medium levels is real pleasant for me. So I don't need the extra boost that the Sangean has for its speaker, though a lot of you may like that. And that's a big deciding factor. I almost picked the Sangean because of the audio, but that popping on the AM just pushed me to go towards the Sony because of that. Of course, price, I mentioned the AM band being a beautiful thing to tune with the Sony, just really pushed it over the edge for me. That was the really big win. and the power consumption. I really like the idea of 110 hours on 2 AA batteries. I'm sure this gets a little bit more than Sangean does because of its control on power. And I don't need to turn up the volume very loud, so that's probably where it's saving most of its energy. So there it is. There is the winner, the Sony P26. And we'll just do a little audio fun. I think I Radio Todderbert playing a song. Just fire it up here and see if we can turn the radio on, listen to it. Of course, the Sangean's going to sound better. All right, there we go. So yeah, so if you like the comparison of these two little monster radios, the P26 and the SR35, big thumbs up. I try to do these every so often. These are just an obvious comparison, and wow, I mean, I didn't know what to think when I was comparing them. There's just so many things to go over, and yeah, they're awesome radios. So you can't go wrong with either one. But if I was gonna buy one, and I only have money for one, I'd pick the Sony dead on. I love it. It's a great radio. I love it. So, but I'm not gonna, cat. I'm not gonna overshadow the Sangean because this is just an amazing radio. Also, they're just amazing. Both of them are really good radios. But I had to give the win to the Sony. So, hope I didn't hurt anybody's feelings. I might have. I am a Sony fanboy, but I wasn't biased this time. I went by my list. I counted up how many wins each one had. I didn't make the wrist strap a deciding factor, because if I did, the Sony would have won by the wrist strap, and that didn't seem fair. It's true, because I did originally have it like checked off, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I counted them up. I'm like, there's no way that wrist strap's going to be the decider. No way. So, but yeah, that works out really good as far as that goes. I'm getting off on a tangent. If you like these comparison videos, you like reviews of new classic radios, you guys heard me in the beginning, hit the subscribe button if you're new. Hit the little bell. Bing, 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 bing. Todderbert made a new video. What's he making tomorrow? So I'm always making new stuff and different stuff. You guys love it. I know it. And comment below what you think about my results and my findings between both radios. You guys can comment away. I don't care what you say. If you love this one, you love this one, just let it all out. All right, guys. I appreciate you watching. Take care and goodbye.